The focus right now, I'm writing down verbal. So I want you to write on your notes right now, verbal. So when I underline in red, that is what you write down. Verbal today. Now, verbal, remember so you're used to this, that whole idea of the SSAT, it's going to be all about analogies, which is like that fun activity that makes sense as we learn it more and more. And the other aspect of it is about vocabulary understanding of prefixes, suffixes, root words, stem words. And those stem words and root words are to help us be able to guess the best answer and make it sure it's a great estimate then. All right. So give me a sign when you finished writing that down. All right. So Jason's good to go so far. Now, the first thing, thank you everybody, is we want to keep in mind strategies are so important. So I actually want you to go ahead and write this down. Strategies are so important, and put an exclamation mark. And then I want you to also write down, we are learning strategies so we never get tricked. 2 exclamation marks. That is why, right? Because when you are able to learn how they made the test and they're trying to trick you, you will not be tricked. So kind of like if you go watch a magician and you know how they do the tricks, it's not as fun for them because you know their tricks, right? So, but it's fun for you in this case because it is a test. So let me know when you finish this, writing this down. Great. So Jason's good to go. Awesome. And so is Alex, and so is Sophia. And how about yes, and Cohen? Well done. All right. And let's move on forward. Okay. And I'm just noticing another friend is joining. I want to help him get in easily or easier, more easily. Da, 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 da. Yeah. All right. And Tiger, start your video. And then, yeah, make sure you have a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, and you can watch the video recording to review. Now, everyone, today, right, we're talking about strategies to start and verbal analogies and vocabulary, right? Okay, awesome. So now, first of all, understand this is why we're not doing definitions, okay? We don't have time for that. We are too busy, and we need to learn fastest, best way. 30 synonym questions, everyone, that means vocabulary. And so that means that we have to be able to choose the same meaning word rather than a definition, you know? So that's the vocabulary section. So write down for yourself like this. 30 synonym questions is the vocabulary section. And then you want to write down that 30 analogy questions is going to be the analogies. I'll do it like that. Section, so you know that. And the thing is, in the past years ago, so long ago, many moons ago, students found it very difficult to do the verbal section and get great results. But by learning stem and root words and also how the analogies section works, you have this great advantage that many others don't have. So just keep that in mind. And like I said, if in the feedback I say something like, now that 3 others have joined, I have said something in your feedback, something like, wow, all these sections were really great, but this section is similar, but you didn't get very many correct. That shows me that if you slow down and you just do that one section as well as all the other ones, wow, you'll do wonderfully to keep that process going throughout all homework. Then it will become a habit. So everyone, I want you to write this down right now. Habits create distress, exclamation mark, also, but, I'm making this up, but I'm actually really enjoying what I'm typing. It's kind of fun. Habits create distress, but habits also create success, right? I'm sure you heard of bad habits, but what about good habits? If a person who has bad habits replaces them with good habits and makes those habits, they're going to be successful and not have bad ones anymore, just ones that make them have what they want. And so with that being said, Notice your homework feedback, read it very carefully, because everything I mean, if I say you did well, it's because you did. If I said good job, it means, you know what, it wasn't as amazing as the ones above. And that means that use the same strategy to get the same results below as well. Now, finish writing those notes down and then put your thumb up when you're finished. Okay, so Jason's good to go. Sophia is as well. And all of you, well done. So now I'm going to let you know, teaching the SSAT, it is super fun for, because when you learn tricks of the trade, then you are doing very well with your homework. So I'm happy about that, because if I am seeing that in the first homework submission, I was like, oh no, they have so much to do. Let's do this. And then 3 or 4 classes later, I see your homework and I'm going, wow, you're blowing me away. Then I am not distressed. I am feeling happy for your successful habits to keep going with. All right. So now we're talking about middle level. And now this is interesting. You mean I don't have to answer all the questions? So some students will go, cool. What if I go to the test and if I don't want to answer it, if I don't really want to think about it, I can just not answer it. And it's like, no, right? That won't really help, because you're going to lose a whole, if you don't answer all the questions, they make it so interesting with the math that it's not a great advantage. So write this down right now. I will ensure I only don't answer up to 4 questions I really don't know. And limit it to the 4 a test. Okay. And we're going to keep it in that kind of way in our minds for when we are doing a test on a test day. So when we go to the hall or we go online and do the actual test, we're going to keep that in mind. We're going to limit it to 4 we just really didn't know. And we'll talk about that in detail now. So yeah, sometimes we don't answer all the questions. You'll actually improve your score by answering fewer questions as long as you're still using all of the allotted time. I want to be careful with your notes so that you understand the right thing. So let's put, you'll actually improve your score by, and then write this down and change it a little bit, by not answering the questions you really don't know if you even thought thoroughly about it. So we're going to learn how to know the difference by practicing that strategy, right? Let's write those words down. You'll actually improve your score by not answering the questions you really don't know, even if you thought about it thoroughly. Way better. All right, Jason's finished his notes as well, and Tiger, and Sophia, and Cohen. Awesome. Now, remember, this test is designed for students in 3 or 4 different grade levels. Write this down. This is so important. Remember, write this down. Remember, like big time important. This test is designed for students in 3 or 4 different grade levels. So they do not expect grade 5s to know as much as the grade 7s at all. There will be vocabulary in some of these questions that is aimed at students older than you. So we're going to write down some questions. I'm going to go, some questions are aimed at students older than you, right? So you can guess. If you are in grade 5, you can make sure you don't answer maybe 8 questions. If you're in grade 6, you can make sure you don't answer on the test, not in our homework, in our test, not our homework, right? 6 questions. If it is grade 7 that you're in, don't answer about 4 questions. Make that your limit. And almost no one in your grade will get those questions right. Write this down. This is so important for you all. And that's why you really have to read all of my feedback, because if I'm telling you you're doing great, that is a big deal to keep up. So almost if you, right? So remember, almost no one in your grade will get the same answers get all the answers right, especially if you're in grade 5 and all of you are in grade 5, no one's going to get all the grade 7 questions, right? It's very, 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 very rare. So don't even think about that. Important stuff to know. So on the SSAT score report, you will be compared only with students in your own grades. You guys, this here is all the stuff you need to know. This here is going to be important. You will only be compared with students in your own grade and gender. Now listen very carefully, everyone. Think in your mind right now. Go like this in my mind, your mind. Did I hand in my in-class notes? Did I hand in my in-class notes to my teacher for homework? And if you go, oh, I don't think I did, then you should and you will, right? All right. Firstly, in the homework email, please hand in your in-class notes. First and foremost, that means, okay? So the younger you are in your test level, the fewer questions you are expected to complete. Isn't that cool? Write this down. The younger you are in your test level, like grade 5 or 6 and not 7, for example, the fewer questions you are expected to complete. As in the people who made it and who are scoring you are going to say that is expected. Really good job still. 5th graders are expected to do the least number of questions. You lose an entire mark if you get it wrong, right? So we have to know the difference too about, oh, maybe I'll just skip it then. If you can think of it logically in a certain amount of seconds and really focus on it and go, you know what, I figured this one out, you need to answer it. But if you look at it and go, I have to think a little bit about this one, I'm going to skip it. Uh-oh. That's how you test it. You've got to get used to that. It's intuitive. 8th graders are expected to do the least number of questions on the upper level test. Same kind of thinking. Now, so why rush through the questions you can get right to get the really tough ones that almost nobody gets? Why rush through the questions you can get right to get to the really tough ones that almost nobody gets? That's so important. I love it. Write it down. So Cohen, you're typing all your notes out then? Cool. All right, so you can all just send in your typed out notes too. So Jason's good to go so far. Alex is good to go. Tiger is good to go. Yeah, Cohen's good to go. So we really want to notice. Should I try it? Yeah. It's taking too long. Skip it. Right? Why would we? Thank you, Sophia. Right? Why rush through the questions you can get right to get to the really tough ones that are almost nobody gets? Because guess what? The further down, say if there are 40 reading comprehension questions, and say you're in grade 5 and you're now on question 31, good news. Questions 31 through 40 are probably the hardest. All right. So that approach only ensures that you won't. So ensure that you ensures that you will make the hasty, careless error. See, they're trying to trick you. So if someone says, I'm going to trick you, like in a chess game or in an exam, I'm going to trick you and I'm going to make you nervous. And I'm going to make it so that you will make hasty, careless errors. Ha ha ha. And they cackle like a Halloween witch, right? I'm going to ensure you make hasty, careless errors, right? Then you're like, well, I know you're doing that though, right? So in this case, I am going to make sure I don't rush through the questions I know and I could get right with some thinking, because I'm not going to fall for your trying to scare me tactic. Because it's kind of fun, right? When you know when someone's trying to trick you and you know what not to do. So you want to make sure you don't fall. I'm going to actually remove that. So you want to make sure, make it blue, that you don't fall for that, right? And that's the cool stuff. That's like not falling for the tricks. So work slowly on the questions that you have vocabulary that you know. Work slowly on those questions, which means if we want to get faster at being correct in our answers, we need to do our homework slowly. Because if we do our homework slowly, it gets easier and faster and we get them all correct later. So we are going to do our homework questions slowly. And remember, to support you, you have to hand in corrections if you got it wrong. You have to explain it, right? So it shows you the benefit. So do the ones you know, and then try the ones that have some advanced words in them. Then you're like, okay, I am good. Or I mean, some of them I didn't answer because I really didn't know. And some of them I guessed because I took some time and figured it out. The ones I didn't know, forget it, right? So which questions should I answer? Write this down. Which questions should I answer? Question mark, because we want to think about that. How do we decide then? So how do I decide then, right? Now, do you think that when I'm telling you this right now, does this mean that you can, I'm going to trick you, watch my facial expression to trick you. So when I give you your homework, do I want you to guess things you don't know? Yep. Yeah, I'm tricking you. I was being sarcastic though. But yes, right? No, I mean, no. No, try them all. We got to work on the strategies, the lessons, and the ways that we are learning. So we want to understand how to know what questions to answer. The questions are arranged in the rough order of difficulty. Good news, everybody. And not only that, you know now. The more complex the synonyms tend to come toward the end of the synonym section. Isn't that cool? So you can guess. If the synonyms are the first 30 questions in the verbal section, then you know that in about, if you're in grade 5, after 20, you're not really expected to know them all. However, you might know 29 and you might know 30 and you might know 27 very well. But for some reason, you don't know numbers 20 and 17 and 15 and 11. So you better try all of them and see what is the easiest. You definitely know. You could know if you tried it a little bit further or looked at it deeper for a moment, or you really don't know. So you do need to try them all. Right? So there's like logic in this. Cool, eh? So the advanced analogies tend to come toward the end. Write this all down because you all are going to hand in your in-class notes. Tell me when you finish writing this down because you're all going to hand them in. And if I haven't said anything yet in your homework email, you're going to hear it now. And your next feedback is going to say, where is your in-class notes? I am super upset. But I will be like, note to parents, note to you, individual with your name on it, hand in your in-class notes. It's going to be like, oh no, right? So just hand in your in-class notes before the start of our next classes. Well, Jason's ready to go so far. Awesome. And you just take a picture. Thank you. So Cohen and Tyre, yeah, take a photo. You can take it and give it to me in WeChat or in email. Take a photo with the phone, whatever you want. Just, yeah, give me images of it so I can give you your feedback on it. Awesome. So we are all good to go. Now, everyone is different. Remember that. And some questions are harder for certain people than they are for others. So if question 30, 27, 28, 24 is really easy for you, maybe 11 and 15 and 12 weren't, but you're competing. You don't take the chance, right? So you make sure you do your best. Yeah. Well, actually you have been, by the way, person who, and that's why I'm saying I'm impressed with homework that I've been receiving so far. And now here forward, I'm really going to push for the in-class notes. And that's why I'm exclamation marking that today. So that's what you need to know. There were a lot of people feeling discouraged before, but I'm pretty impressed with some things. They need to read all of their feedback, because if you don't hand in your in-class corrections for all the things I ask you to on your feedback, I'm also very concerned. So keep it up, what you've been doing, but also hand in class notes. And when we're doing a competition, we don't take risks. We do the best we can in every single section, because you know what? Some of them we shouldn't guess, and some of them we certainly should try. So in other words, you get as many points for a question you find easy as you do for one you find more complicated. So here's the plan. Write this down. Here's the plan. Mission possible. Here's the plan. Do all the questions that you find easy first. But I'm going to tell you a nightmare that happened to me one time by showing it to you. Now, so if we are going to do all of the questions we find easy first, right? And we're going, okay, here's my score sheet on the test. And I've got my pencil and I've got my eraser and I'm going along and I'm going, great, this is awesome. I'm finding, number one, it's definitely like making it up. Number one is A. Yeah, I know that. B is number two. Yeah. Number three, it's a little difficult. I'm going to come back to it later. Number four, I'm going to answer number four now. Okay. So number four is E. Number five is a bit difficult. So now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to answer number five. Oh, five is A. Can someone tell me what I just did? Raise your hand if you saw what I just did. Right? Could you imagine? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And this one, oh, this one's super. Yeah. And I'm going, and all of a sudden I'm going, wait a minute. How come there's five left? I finished the last one. Nightmare. Time's up, everyone. Go to section 2. Why even stay? All right. This happened to your teacher a long time ago. And it's not going to happen to you because you felt that, right? So it's not going to happen to you. Okay. Right? So if you're like, these ones are easy, I'm going to fill those in very carefully. You got to make it clear to yourself, and you're not allowed to write on this card. So don't lose your spot and be really focused. So in a way, I kind of don't want you to really do that. Like I want you to be very aware of it. So that's why practice tests like simulations or doing them at home are really important for you. Because this is something to keep in mind. Next here. So here's the plan. Do all of the questions that you find easy first. Pay close attention to where you're at. Easy questions will be those easy questions will be those, the definitions and words involved. Now, what's the next step though? Then go back through and do the questions with words that sound familiar. And if you want to know what the word familiar makes me think of, makes me go, prefixes, root words, stem words, suffixes. Thank goodness I learned those because now I can find all the familiar words. Okay, tell me when you finish writing those down. Tiger, Cohen, and Sophia are good to go, and so is Jason and Alex. Awesome. Okay, here we go. So as you work through these questions, you'll be concentrating mostly on the beginning and middle of each section. Remember to skip a number on the answer sheet when you skip your question. I told you about that terrible tragedy. More of a tragedy than anything like Romeo and Juliet, that's for sure. Because I don't even think that was supposed to be a tragedy, by the way. Right? So we're going to make sure if we're going to skip the question, we're actually skipping it on the scorecard too. So remember, we got to do this. We got to make sure whenever you do a practice test, use the sample answer sheet. So you get used to not skipping, to skipping around when you're filling in bubbles. You're going to be, thank you very much. So you're going to be getting answer sheets, right? In your future, when you're doing a practice test, fill it in on the sheet to get used to filling in the right one in our practices. Knowing your own vocabulary is the key to quickly deciding like which answers to which questions to answer. So writing that down, that's one thing. Knowing your vocabulary is the key to quickly deciding if you can answer a question easily. However, if you have learned the suffixes, root words, stem words, and prefixes, then you can comfortably guess. Put an exclamation for that, right? So then you've got 2 bonuses. And if you're younger, you have 3 bonuses. But we use our bonuses. We use them to our advantage to get ahead in life. We use our What I'm saying is we use our special skills, our special abilities, our special things and gifts to do better. These are all strategies, especially for verbal section. You have a new set of these to be studying for homework. All right. You are going to need to study the prefix, the meaning, and the examples for all the way down to Perry here before the start of our next class for the test. Okay. So these words in this section between the two red lines are what you need to memorize and understand before our next class. Okay, so there you are. And that's what you're going to be memorizing before the start of our next class, right? Which is, so this is what you need to memorize all of those. All right, so this prefix, something before the other parts of the word. So for example, distract, divert. So dis and die, they mean apart, like to attention is apart or divided. Like divert, away, right? So if we see something like a word starting with dis or die, we know it has something to do with apart and away. X or something starts with an E means out or from. So exit, out, because we have X part of it, we can guess like it's out, something to do with leaving or out. Emit means like from. So it's like the pumpkin smell emitted off of the pumpkin pie, like emitted from, the smell was coming from. We can guess because E and X mean out and from. All right. So when you're at home, I want you to remember, if you write down a list of these left to right 10 times each, you will be comfortable with them, but focusing on what you're writing down. So you're really understanding the examples so that when we are practicing vocabulary questions, we can do them well. And so we have to memorize these before the start of our next class. Okay, so we need to know when to guess. When we're trying practice tests, we're using a score sheet like this. So we're getting used to making sure we do not skip something and then answer the next one in the wrong spot. All right. Number 1, you hand in your what?
Your class notes.
Class notes, in-class answers, 100%. Yes, for the quiz. All of it, just hand that in-class stuff on the paper there. Send it in, right? Number 2, you can review the lesson sheets in the video. Number 3, you get your homework. Hand in your corrections too, if you were asked to, and you all were. Thank you. Well, not all of you, some of you. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.